Okay. Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Ninjutsu Podcastt. I'm Don Rowley, your host. Today we're going to talk about punching and how it's a manifestation of the art, the principles of the art, and stuff like that, and why mixing in things like boxing punches is not so good. A couple podcasts ago, I talked about someone who's changing the basic punch in the Bujinkan while still using the Bujinkan name. I got 2, maybe 3 questions. Well, why can't we use boxing punches in the Bujinkan? Okay, it's a good question. The simple fact is that the Bujinkan has central cores for their art, for the way things are. They're like strategy for dealing with combat. And different good arts all have this same thing. It's all built around a central core of the situation, whether it be like facing weapons, is it a warrior class compared to like throwing into someone in 12 weeks, all that. Even in the Bujinkan, like there's slightly different differences between like how you move in this school, one of the traditions passed down in this school, but punching is kind of like all built around like the idea of armor. And so I'm going to deal with that. Again, everything is built on physics and body mechanics, but the manifestation of how you do that, that's the art, that's a strategy, that's its core principles. And people that say, well, no, it's all just body mechanics, it's all physics, and try to take this from here, they basically make a Frankenstein's monster, and it doesn't work. If you try to use 2 systems that are slightly different, you will cause a gap trying to transition from one to the other. It's not good. And again, in the Bujinkan, even different traditions have different ways of moving, but the punch basically all came around because of armor and the way we're striking. So boxing, again, everyone knows boxing punches, boom like that. The punch goes in, the punch comes out. Kind of like a whip. Pulling back kind of dumps the energy. And that's very effective. You hit someone in the ribs, boom, you can basically break ribs. We don't do that much damage, but we do something else. Again, if I can use Matt for a second. Pool noodle? What the hell am I going to do with a pool noodle? Jeez. Anyways, so if I can just get Matt over here, okay? So now if he's going to get firm position, okay? So he's going to be in a firm position like this. This is where like he would push a car or fight, okay? If I come in and I try to throw him, and we are throwing art, then, it's going to be very hard. I'm not going to be able to do it. If I was, 18 years old and, like 50 more pounds of muscle, yeah, maybe I could do that. So if he's wearing armor, again, if I'm doing boxing punches or karate punches where that energy comes and stuff like that, I'm going to break my knuckles. So we use Shakoken again, but the same type of principle as throwing a punch, where you hit, boom, and let me just move him. So if he's here like this, okay, so he's, face the camera, so he's firm like that, and I try to throw him, it's not going to be easy, but if I can kind of move him a little bit like this, like that, now, when I come in, throwing is very easy. I'm not going to throw him. But yeah, from right here is fairly easy. So to move him, I hit, boom, and I push through. Again, I got that movement. And again, I can do it like this. And even, say when we do shuto, karateka do very good, very damaging, like that. Again, hit, pull out. We don't like pulling out. We always want to be able to pull out, but once we're in, we like to stay there. Hit, grab, pull, going for the throw. Because, if he's wearing armor, the best thing to do is throw him to the ground, grab a knife, cut his throat, or tie him up as a prisoner. Thank you. So that's it. That's basically it. When you're hitting, you want to move the person. And that's why when we hit, it's more along the lines of this, and then we push through. It's the foot flows, hits, then pushes through. That's how we hit, that's why we hit. And if you just try to, again, punching, throw a boxing punch, hit, do damage, but you don't affect their structure. And then in addition to that, because you're pulling out, to do the throw, you've got to come back in. Once, when we hit with a punch, we're through their defenses and we don't want to pull out. We're in their defenses and we're able to throw. If you've ever been hit by a Japanese senior instructor, and I've been hit more than most, you realize that Yeah, they hit hard, but it's like a freight train. Boom, and you're like, huh. Freight trains go through. Freight trains don't do like a whip. Again, this is a manifestation of the central core of the strategy that was developed over generations to deal with a certain situation. We might not be facing armor, but if you come back in February and I'm wearing my bomber jacket, go ahead and try to damage my ribs. I've got like 7 layers of clothing on. So there's that. Again, if you're in the Philippines, you know, they develop different things there because of the environment. We did that. Again, don't try to put together Frankenstein monsters. Yes, it's all physics. Yes, it's all body mechanics. But that's what everything is based on. Computers, zeros and ones. Everything's zeros and ones. But you try to run a Windows program on a Mac, it's going to be messed up. You can do the same thing with Taijutsu. That's why we use the punch we do. That's it. Thank you very much.